Hello everybody, welcome to IELTS Speed Up course listening class number 2. In today's lesson, we'll go through listening section 2 and of course tips and strategies that will be helpful for you guys, and sample question types with their explanation as well as keyword techniques. So, as you know, in listening part 2, you will have a monologue. One person speaking on an everyday social context. It's either speaker delivering information about local facilities or providing information about festival. Common question types in this part are map, plan or diagram labeling, matching, and of course short answers. It's an easy part as well as part number 1 in your IELTS listening. So number of correct answers is minimum 9. So let's focus on map, plan and diagram labeling question types. Most of the time students have issues with these question types because in the audio native speakers use the language that is quite strange and unfamiliar for these IELTS candidates. So here there is a list of words that you must analyze and of course check their pronunciation. And in the next slide you can see the rest of this list. Moving to the tips and strategies for map, plan or diagram labeling. First of all, students must find the starting point of the tour. So you should be looking for "you are here" sign or main entrance. Usually tour begins at these points, and if you cannot find any of them, do not panic. You will find out it just at the beginning of the audio. Next, you should read instructions carefully and pay attention to word limits. And of course, it is highly recommended to scan the figure first and logically predict the location of certain facilities and areas. And next, you should take a moment to understand the layout, because while you are listening to the audio, it will be really helpful to be familiar with this area. And of course, you should write your answers on the map first. Most of the time, candidates find the place given on the booklet very small and try to write answers immediately to the answer sheet. So it is not a very good strategy. And of course, answers to this question type will be in order. So numbers will be really helpful for you guys and you should be paying attention to them. Of course, you should understand the context. Listen carefully and pay clear attention to every single word that is being used by the speaker. And of course, this question type is very difficult for many students. For this reason, in IELTS, you will be given certain clues. You might be given compass icon in the corner telling you where the north, south, west or east is. So you might find this information really useful. And finally, IELTS candidates must be cautious when speakers attempt to mislead them. For example, speaker may change their answers. So here on your left there is a main workshop and then, oh sorry, this is actually a cafe. I feel myself really uncomfortable. So final answer is going to be a cafe. And after looking at the map or diagram, students can predict the vocabulary that might be used in the audio, and of course be ready for functional words, which will help them a lot during their test. Let's start practice. So here we have map labeling, and the instructions are: write the correct letter from A to I next to questions 15 to 20. So we should identify the location of the following: scarecrow, maze, cafe, black barn, covered picnic area, and feeding house. So this is the layout of the map. So you are here. So this is the starting point. And here we are given new barn, car park, main path, side paths, fish pool, and of course the bridge. Here we have farmyard and footpaths. So let's start.
Now let me give you some idea of the layout of the farm. The building where you bought your tickets is the new barn immediately to your right. And we're now at the beginning of the main path to the farmland. And of course, the car park is on your left. The scarecrow you can see in the car park in the corner beside the main path.
So, speaker mentioned that you are here and car park is on your left, and in the corner you can see the scarecrow just beside the main path. So the answer is going to be F.
Is a traditional figure for keeping the birds away from crops. But our scarecrow is a permanent sculpture. It's taller than a human being, so you can see it from quite a distance. If you look ahead of you, you'll see a maze. It's opposite the new barn, beside the side path.
So, speaker mentioned you're here because speaker was talking about scarecrow, and if you look ahead, you will see a maze just opposite the new barn. So, the answer is going to be G.
That branches off to the right, just over there. The maze is made out of hedges which are too tall for young children to see over them, but it's quite small, so you can't get lost in it. Now, can you see the bridge crossing the fish pool further up the main path? If you want to go to the cafe, go towards the bridge and turn right just before it. Walk along the side path, and the cafe's on the first bend you come to.
So, speaker said, if you want to reach the cafe, you should walk towards the bridge, turn right before it, and the cafe is on the first bench. So, this is D.
The building was originally the schoolhouse, and it's well over 100 years old. As you may know, we run skills workshops here, where you can learn traditional crafts like woodwork and basket making. You can see examples of the work and talk to someone about the courses in the Black Barn.
Here.
If you take the side path to the right, here, just by the new barn, you'll come to the Black Barn, just where the path first bends. Now,
so, Black Barn is where side paths first bends. So the answer is going to be H.
Now, I mustn't forget to tell you about picnicking, as I can see some of you have brought your lunch with you. You can picnic in the field, though do clear up behind you, of course. Or if you'd prefer a covered picnic area, there's one near the farmyard, just after you cross the bridge. There's a covered picnic spot on the right.
So, the answer is C, because speaker mentions that there is covered picnic area near the farmyard where you just cross the bridge. It is on your right. So,
and the last thing to mention is Fiddy House itself. From here you can cross the bridge, then walk along the footpath through the field to the left of the farmyard. That goes to the house.
So you cross the street, take a footpath, and you will reach the house. So the answer is going to be A. So here you can check the answers from the scripts. Okay? So next question type. This is map labeling. So the instructions are again, write the correct letter from A to G. So here we have two entrances. One is here, the other one is on the right side. And here you have a foyer, double doors, we have water cooling, and let's start. We should identify the location of box office, theater manager office, lighting box, and artistic director's office.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Stage and dressing rooms for the actors are all below ground level. Here on the ground floor, we have most of the rooms that the public doesn't see. The majority are internal, so they have windows in the roof to light them. Standing here in the foyer, you're probably one.
So in this map, you cannot find your location, but at the beginning of the audio, they mention that you're standing here in the foyer.
Wondering why the box office isn't here, where the public would expect to find it. Well, you might have noticed it on your way in. Although it's part of this building, it's next door, with a separate entrance from the road.
So, speaker said that staying here in the foyer, you are wondering that you cannot find box office. So box office is not here. And then she mentioned that box office is a part of the building with separate entrance. So the answer is going to be G.
For the theatre manager's office, you go across the foyer and through the double doors. Turn right, and it's the room at the end of the corridor, with the door on the left.
So the answer is going to be D. You go through the double doors, turn right, and the theater manager's office is in the end of the corridor with the door on the left. So the answer is D.
The lighting box is where the computerized stage lighting is operated, and it's at the back of the building. When you're through the double doors, turn left, turn right at the water cooler, and right again at the end. It's the second room along that corridor.
So the answer is B, because speaker mentions that you should go through double doors, turn left, and turn right at water cooler, then turn right again, and this is second door. 1, 2. So the answer is B.
The lighting box has a window into the auditorium, which of course is below us. The artistic director's office is through the double doors, turn right, and it's the first room you come to on the right-hand side.
So the answer is F. To find artistic director's office, you should go through double doors, turn right, and this is the first door on your right. here, guys, you're given a script to check your answers. So next question type is diagram labeling. You should choose 3 answers from the box and write the correct letter from A to E next to questions 11 to 13. So here we have water heater and we have 3 buttons here and 3 smaller buttons below. So let's see, we should identify the function of these buttons. So electricity indicator, on off switch, reset button, time control, warning indicator. Let's start.
Hello?
Hi, it's Laura Carlton here. We've just arrived at the holiday flat, but I can't get the hot water and heating to work.
Oh, right. That's easy. Don't worry. In the upstairs cupboard, you'll find the water heater. You'll see 3 main controls on the left at the bottom of the heater. The first one, the round one on the far left, is the most important one for the heating and hot water. It's the main control switch.
So, speaker mentioned the one on the far corner, far left, is main switch control. So this is on-off switch. So the answer is going to be B.
Make sure it's in the on position. The switch itself doesn't light up, but the little square below will be black if the switch is off. That's probably what's happened. It's got switched off by mistake. The middle one of these 3 controls, you'll see it's slightly larger than the first one, controls the radiators. If you feel cold while you're there and need the radiators on, this needs to be turned to maximum. The last of the 3 controls, the one on the right, is usually on about a number 4 setting, which for the water in the taps is usually quite hot enough. Below the heating controls in the middle is a small round plastic button. If there isn't enough water in the pipes, sometimes the heater goes out. If this happens, you'll need to press this button to reset the heater.
So, as speaker mentioned, you should press this button to reset. So this is reset button. Okay?
Hold it in for about 5 seconds and the heater should come on again. Then there's a little square indicator under the 3rd knob that's a kind of alarm light. It'll flash if you need to reset the heater.
So speaker mentions that the 3rd button is alarm light. So this is perfect synonym for the word warning indicator. So the answer is E. In the following slides, students can check answers from the scripts. And next question type is matching. So let's start tips and strategies. Tip number 1 is before recording begins, it is highly recommended to go through lettered and numbered lists and be familiar with every detail. And the second tip is very useful. So it is more effective if students keep in mind that numbered lists will always follow the order. And of course, tip number 3 is be ready for paraphrases, because in the audio, the ideas given in your booklet might be expressed in different way. So, in this question type, it is better to listen for ideas, not a particular word or phrase. And finally, when you choose certain answer or option, it is highly recommended to put line through or cross the option. So let's go to the practice sample. So choose 5 answers from the box. So these are the locations and these are the items. The task is to identify location of each item. So pillows, washing powder, key, light bulbs, and map. So the locations are box on washing machine, cupboard on landing, chest of drawers next to window in living room, and shelf by back door.
Phone. We haven't managed to find a few things we need, like extra pillows for the beds and some washing powder. Is there any here?
Pillows? Yes. If you look in the cupboard, the large white one upstairs, to the left of the bathroom door, there should be 4 or 5 on the top shelf.
So, as it was mentioned by speaker, you will be able to find 4 or 5 extra pillows in cupboard. So the answer is B. Okay?
And if you want to do some washing, there's some powder for that. Probably by the back door. There's a kind of shelf there above the sink.
So washing powder is by the back door on a shelf. So the answer is E. Okay?
In fact, I'm sure there's some there in a large blue box. You need about half a cupful for each wash. Oh, and that reminds me. The spare key to the back door is hanging on a hook on the wall by the sitting room window.
So, as you heard in the audio, speaker mentioned that the key is hanging next to window in a sitting room. So, living room was paraphrased as sitting room. So the answer is D.
Please make sure to put it back when you've used it. The previous guest lost it in the garden and I had to get another one made. And if you have any trouble with the lamps, you'll find some spare bulbs in a large cardboard box. It's on top of the washing machine with all kinds of...
So you will be able to find light bulbs in a box on washing machine. And finally,
useful things in it. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention when we last spoke.
Yes?
I've left you a local map, so you'll be able to find your way around easily. It shows the whole area. I put it in the top drawer of the chest under the TV in your bedroom.
So, speaker mentioned that he put the map on the chest of drawers. So the answer is C. Next question type that we will focus today is short answer. So let's start tips and strategies. So first of all, it is highly recommended to skim and scan the questions in your booklet and understand the idea. And of course, it is very effective way to predict the type of information you are required to write in. So usually questions such as how much indicate numbers and how far indicates distance. So of course in this question type you also should be cautious for paraphrases. Okay, read instructions carefully and write what you hear, and you should remember that needed information is always exactly in the form that you should place in the blanks, so you don't have to change the form of the word. And of course you should be watching out the instructions and word limits. And finally, be cautious for spellings. You should keep in mind that spelling mistakes in IELTS listening will be penalized. So, this is practice sample. First of all, what does the student particularly like to eat? So, you should write in the type of food. Here, what sports does the student play? So, you should write type of sport. And what mode of transport does the student prefer? so type of transportation. And the last one, when will the student find out her homestay address, so time or day. So here we have instructions that no more than 2 words are allowed. Let's start the practice. So let's start.
Listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
All right. Now, what about you? Are you a vegetarian or do you have any special food requirements?
No, I am not a vegetarian, but I don't eat a lot of meat. I really like seafood.
And
So student mentions that she really likes seafood. Okay.
what are your hobbies?
I like reading and going to the movies.
Do you play any sports?
Yes, I joined the handball team, but I didn't like that, so I stopped playing. Now I play tennis on the weekend with my friends.
So student mentions that she joined handball team and she didn't like it. Now she plays tennis. Okay.
All right. Let's see. Name, age, now the location. Are you familiar with the public transport system?
No, I'm not really because I have been living on campus. I've been to the city a few times on the bus, but they are always late.
What about the trains?
I like catching the train.
So student mentions that she likes catching trains. But when it comes to the buses, she mentioned that they are always late. So last question.
They are much faster.
Now, let me go check on the computer and see who I've got. Listen, leave it with me. I'll check my records and I'll give you details this afternoon.
Thank
So the advisor mentioned that he will provide her with details this afternoon. Okay, so this is the end of practice, guys. Now you are able to check your answers from the script. Okay, now this is your home assignment. First, you should complete tests 1 to 40 part 2 only from 40 listening practice book published by Thompson School. And of course, you should check your answers and prepare a keyword table for each test. Listen again and analyze your mistakes. Keep in mind, learning from mistakes is the most effective strategy for any language and for any subject. And translate and learn all the vocabulary. You should remember that students in IELTS must always enrich their vocabulary. This is the end of our lesson number 2, and thank you for your attention.